We're live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India News, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Coming up in the next hour. Prime Minister Narendra Modi gets rousing welcome as he arrives in London on two-day visit to the UK. Will hold wide-ranging discussions with his counterpart Keir Starmer on entire gamut of bilateral relations. Russia-Ukraine agree to exchange 1,200 prisoners from each side in the latest round of talks in Istanbul. Kyiv proposes Zelensky-Putin talks in August. Two sides still far apart on ceasefire and key issues. US approves the $322 million in weapons sales to Ukraine to enhance its air defense capabilities. Latest proposed military sale follows another announced in May for F-16 training and sustainment. Beijing hosts the 25th EU-China summit to mark the 50th anniversary of the establishment of EU-China bilateral ties. Trade, global geopolitical challenges and climate change on agenda. EU leaders also to meet President Xi. In sports, rising chess star Divya Desmukh makes history, becomes the first Indian to reach the finals of the FIDE Women's Chess World Cup, beats Ten Zhongzi of China in semis. And on to the details now. Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrived in the United Kingdom on Wednesday in the first leg of his two-nation visit. Prime Minister Modi landed in London for a two-day visit to the United Kingdom. Prime Minister Modi will hold discussions with his UK counterpart Keir Starmer. The two leaders will have the opportunity to further enhance economic partnership aimed at fostering prosperity, growth and jobs creation in both countries. Prime Minister Modi will also call on King Charles III. This is Prime Minister's fourth visit to the United Kingdom since assuming office. He has visited previously in 2015 and 2018, and he was there in 2021 as well for the COP26 summit in Glasgow. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi was welcomed and greeted by the members of the Indian diaspora in London during his ongoing visit to the United Kingdom. Prime Minister Modi received a grand welcome from the Indian diaspora. Prime Minister Modi also interacted with the members of the diaspora. Members of the diaspora expressed joy and admiration after meeting the Prime Minister, calling the moment surreal and emotionally overwhelming. Sharing pictures on social media platform X, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said he's touched by the warm welcome from the Indian community in the United Kingdom. Prime Minister said their affection and the passion towards India's progress is truly heartening. In another post, Prime Minister Modi stated that his UK visit will go a long way in advancing the economic partnership between the two nations. He said the focus of his visit will be on furthering prosperity, growth and boosting job creation for the people of the two nations. Prime Minister Modi further added that a strong India-UK friendship is essential for global progress. And Prime Minister Modi was welcomed by the Indian diaspora with cultural performances from the states of Assam, Gujarat, Bihar and Odisha. DD India correspondent Gautam Roy spoke to one such group who performed traditional drum and tasha to welcome Prime Minister Modi. Listen in.
What exactly did you do in front of Prime Minister, and how is it, playing for him?
What we played right now is called Nashik Dhol. It's very traditional to the music what we play in India during Ganpati festival. So these are dhols, these are tashas. We practiced for 2 months just to perform here, and it's a very intense practice.
And how is it for you? You were playing these cymbals.
It was indeed a great experience. Actually, as she mentioned that we've been practicing hard all through for this very event to perform in front of the Prime Minister. It is a very joyous occasion, and we indeed are very proud that we could play our local art in front of him, and also everyone here that enjoyed. It was indeed a lovely experience to speak of.
How did the Prime Minister appreciate what you performed for him?
Well, I think he coming towards us and waving at us, appreciating the energy that we bring to this was a great, in fact. And we are very proud to have Modi in UK. I think he is a super Prime Minister. He has done a lot of work for India, and we really are proud of him.
And you put this together for everyone, for the Prime Minister?
Yes. We are very proud when we were invited to play with the Prime Minister being here. And I think it has really paid rich dividends. The Prime Minister himself came to our troupe twice. So that's a very proud moment for Maharashtra Mandal London and the entire Maharashtra and the entire India. Thank you very much.
So that is the sentiment, sense of pride that has brought a lot of people from the Indian diaspora here to greet Prime Minister Modi on this occasion of his arrival for the 4th time in the UK, and in a visit which is expected to take India and UK relations to unprecedented heights through an FTA. With camera person Sanjay Jana, Gautam Roy, London, DD India.
And DD India correspondent Gautam Roy spoke to the UK winners of Bharat Ko Janiye or Know About India contest held by India's Ministry of External Affairs worldwide, who also got to greet Prime Minister Narendra Modi upon his arrival in London. Listen in.
A very enthusiastic contingent of the Indian diaspora, 1.8 million strong, has greeted Prime Minister Narendra Modi on his arrival in the UK for the 4th time. And among them were the winners of this contest that was held here, Bharat Ko Janiye, which is Know About India. And he's met all of them, and we have some of them with us. And with him is also Nick, who's among the winners, and he's got a +91 number. Namaskar, how are you?
I do have a +91 number. I live in India, but I'm very proud to be here in England with all these wonderful winners. And I was lucky enough to be a winner myself. I managed to get the questions right, despite being British. I have a deep love and affection for India and read everything I can.
Congratulations. So how was it meeting the Prime Minister of India?
It's a great honour. I've met
you met him earlier as well.
Several times over the years. But to meet him in Britain is a first for me, and it's fantastic to see him here with this incredible welcome.
Congratulations to you as well. How was it meeting Prime Minister Modi, and how was the contest?
It's a wonderful atmosphere here, I have to say. It's so vibrant and so full of energy. So that's been the best part of the evening. The quiz, I think, was fantastic in understanding a lot more about India. So many facts, so many nuances about India, so it's been a great journey to actually be a part of the contest.
And I see you holding that up, so you're among the winners yourself. What can you tell us about the contest and the experience of meeting Prime Minister Modi?
I think it's one of the brilliant things. You get to know your country. It is very important for people like us who have left India and come. It's a very good way of staying in touch with our country, and especially when the PM visits you, it's amazing feeling, you know.
I'm glad that I came to this place. The High Commission of India gave us this opportunity, and I'm proud of being an Indian, and like Modi ji as a leader of a country. I think that's the best thing that could have ever happened to our country.
Did you have any sort of an exchange with the Prime Minister?
We shook hands, so I think that was amazing to just have, be there in his aura. I think it was amazing. It is a moment that I think I will carry with me throughout.
Wonderful. So there you have it. That's the kind of sentiment that all the people in the Indian diaspora have, and these are some of the people who have gone away from the country, but they won a contest where they've answered questions about India, and they have come out trumps, and that is the kind of sentiment that keeps them connected with their homeland, and that is what has brought them here to greet Prime Minister Modi upon his arrival to the UK for the 4th time, where this visit holds a huge amount of promise for both the countries. With cameraperson Sanjay Jana, Gautam Roy, London, DD India.
And a large contingent of the 1.8 million strong Indian diaspora has gathered to greet Prime Minister Narendra Modi on his 4th visit to the United Kingdom. DD India's Gautam Roy has spoken to them about what sort of expectations and affinity has brought them to see the Prime Minister, shake his hands or have a word with India's leader since 2014. Take a look.
It was cultural performances galore when Prime Minister Modi reached the UK for the 4th time, and from all 4 corners of the country, cultural performances, traditional folk dances, classical dances greeted him, and we're with a bunch of these dancers here. Let's just talk to them as well. How is it performing in front of Prime Minister Modi?
Very, very excited, very happy, and I felt like I'm seeing the God in form of Modi ji.
Lifetime experience for us. It was honor for us to represent Bihar.
We have come from Bihar, Mithila state, and very, very proud to represent our...
That's a Madhubani painting.
Madhubani painting, yes.
Lovely. Even I'm from Bihar. And how did it go for you?
This is Odisha, state of Odisha. We are really proud to represent, and we are so happy to showcase the Odisha society in the UK and all my beautiful dancers and the team patronage. We are really proud. Thank you so much. Just can't believe that we could really see Modi ji with real eyes. So we are very excited.
How are you feeling today when you performed in front of the Prime Minister?
It was such an exhilarating moment for us, for the whole Indian diaspora, representatives of different states, getting this opportunity to meet him at this nearest and him being so close to us. So that was really a wonderful moment.
Mm-hmm. And what did you perform for the Prime Minister?
We performed the Bharatanatyam classical.
We also have some performers here who, of course, perhaps are from the home state of Prime Minister Modi. How did it go today? What kind of performance did you do for the Prime Minister?
We did Garba, which is a traditional dance from Gujarat, and we are all from Rhythm Performing Arts, UK.
There you have it. That's the kind of sentiment that has brought people from all corners of the UK who are of Indian origin to the place where Prime Minister Modi has arrived for the 4th time in the UK to greet him, to share their appreciation for what he's doing for building upon the relationship that India and the UK already have and taking it to newer heights with an FTA, which is going to be a landmark as far as ties between India and UK are concerned. With cameraperson Sanjay Jera, Gautam Roy in London for DD India.
And the UK has a 1.8 million strong Indian diaspora, which is looking forward to Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit. DD India's Gautam Roy has spoken with Lord Rami Ranger, member House of Lords, a well-known businessman of Indian origin and a Conservative Party politician, about the expectations of the Indian community in the UK with Prime Minister Modi's trip to London.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi is on his 4th visit to the UK since 2014. On the 23rd and the 24th of July, and a lot of anticipation is built into this visit. With us is Lord Rami Ranger of Mayfair to talk about it. What can you tell us about your assessment of the tie so far, and what do you expect from this visit?
This will be a mother of all trade deals, because this will be between the oldest democracy and the largest democracies of the world, sharing equal values.
Is that sort of a message that you expect the two leaders to send out as well when Prime Minister Modi meets Prime Minister Starmer?
Well, India is playing already a very important role in fighting against terrorism. The Quad is a proof that they value India's security. India is doing what the civilized world want to do. So therefore, the Prime Minister Starmer will be overjoyed to receive Prime Minister Modi, the most popular and the most decorated Prime Minister in the world, who has been honored not only by Shia Iran but also Sunni Saudi Arabia. That just shows you diplomacy. He's not only respected by Putin, but he's also respected by Trump. Yes. So two rivals, they envy. that just shows that we play a central stage. We don't want to join any groups. We are master of our own destiny, and therefore our contribution to the world will be balanced, collaborated, and just equitable. For the last 10 years, ever since Modi ji come, we say with proud, I'm Indian. Everybody now says I'm Indian. Even the Pakistani friends say we're Indian.
Well, let's hope that Prime Minister Modi this time around, along with his counterpart Keir Starmer, lead to a more heady and fruitful relationship between India and the United Kingdom. With cameraperson Jena, Gautam Roy, London, DD India.
And according to a recent business report, 42% of surveyed UK companies with zero presence in India now want to invest there by the next 2 years. UK's Aurora Group, a multi-billionaire GBP corporation with hotel, construction and real estate businesses, is also among them. DD India's Gautam Roy spoke with Aurora Group founder and chairman Surinder Arora on the subject. Listen in.
The Indian diaspora in the UK is 1.8 million strong, and over the years, especially since 2014, it's seen how perception about India has also changed in the UK, and that has been led to a large extent by Prime Minister Modi, his fourth visit now taking place to this country. And we have with us Surinder Arora. He's the founder and chairman of the Aurora Group, which is almost a conglomerate here in the UK, in the hotels business, into construction as well as real estate. Thank you for speaking to us, Mr. Arora. What can you tell us about this? What is your perception about the FTA in the first place, that India and the UK are going to exchange, are in fact exchanging? Do you feel that it will lead to the kind of promise that this relationship always held, which could be fulfilled now?
I think we're all very excited about this agreement, and it's great news for the UK and wonderful news for India, because the two countries have always had close links. And lately, especially since the financial crisis in 2008, and when things have been tough for everyone around the world, I think it's absolutely amazing that the UK and India on the deal, and Prime Minister Modi coming here for this very special occasion. Being a proud Indian, I think is fantastic. It's great news.
According to a survey, the companies in UK that do not have a presence in India, 42% of them are saying that they want to have a position in India in the next 2 years. The ones that do, more than 90% of them say they will build upon that position. So where does the Aurora Group stand on that?
So I'm actually one of those 42% that we don't actually have currently any business interest in India. Although being a true Indian, I was born in India. I was in India until I was 13, and that's something now suddenly we're all waking up and saying, look at India, look at the growth rate, look what Prime Minister Modi has done and achieved, and the way things and the GDP and the growth rate is phenomenal compared to the rest of the world. So this is something we will be looking at.
You believe in Make in India now?
Absolutely, absolutely, and I think it's something I've always...
Any plans?
We'll be looking at opportunities. Absolutely, that's something I think it'll be an opportunity not to be missed. And and I do say whenever I'm talking to my colleagues, my friends, my business people here in the UK, that we should see what a great example since Prime Minister Modi took over. And if we see the growth rate in India, if you look at the infrastructure, if you look at the airports, if you look at now, people in the Western world all talk about, I want to do business in India.
Sounds wonderful. Thank you so much for speaking to us. So there you have it. A message, a strong message will also be sent out with that FTA between India and UK, that India is the place to do business. That's what a lot of companies in the UK, including Mr. Arora's, will be looking to do from here on once that FTA is done and dusted. This is Gautam Roy with camera person Shubham Srivastav, London, DD India.
And our correspondent Gautam Roy gives us more on this. Well, Gautam, what's the day looking like for day 2 of Prime Minister Modi's UK visit? Will it prove to be a landmark day in India-UK ties and send out a positive message worldwide?
Well, Prime Minister Modi has a packed day ahead for himself today, because it involves not just a bilateral meeting with his British counterpart, the UK counterpart, Keir Starmer, Prime Minister Starmer, but also a meeting with King Charles III. That is going to take place today itself. He'll call on the King as well. And as far as the bilateral meeting goes, there will be delegation-level talks. There will be one-on-one talks as well. And almost all aspects of the bilateral relationship, from security to people-to-people ties, apart from trade, business, investments, and even areas of critical technology, as well as perhaps even critical minerals will be covered. And there's a lot of ground to cover between the two sides because the key component of today's talks will, of course, be the exchange of the free trade agreement, more than 2,000-page document that means a lot to both the economies. They are, of course, among the largest in the world. India, already the 4th largest, the UK, the 6th largest, India headed for the number 3 spot as well. So this pact will mean a lot to both the economies, and it will also send out a tremendous message to the entire world, which has been in a protectionist phase in recent years, which is converse to globalization. But with this bilateral pact, an entire message will go out to the world that look at these two economies. They are looking to work together. They want to invest in each other. They want to ensure that they benefit from each other in the maximum way possible, which is why they are reducing tariffs instead of raising them, which is happening in other parts of the world, being taken forward very aggressively by other leaders in the world, where, of course, again, these sort of pacts are a key way to resolve matters.
All right. Gautam, also, what could the FTA mean for the businesses, economies, and the people of the two countries, especially?
Well, it's going to be a tremendous significance, this free trade agreement, because it covers a lot of the imports and exports that take place between the two sides. Where India is concerned, 99% of its goods and services will be completely tariff-free. There will be no duty on them, and unrestricted entry in a way will be there, because a lot of non-tariff barriers, a lot of regulations will also be relaxed, and that would mean a lot for a number of industries in India, be it textiles, be it leather, be it a lot of manufactured goods, a lot of services as well, even gems and jewelry. And even for the UK, the same goes, because in the case of UK, although the tariffs will not go to zero, but they will come down significantly. Like in the case of alcoholic beverages, they go down straight away from 150% to 75%. And then over the course of the next few years, it'll be down to 40%. And what this means is that this will add, it's an estimate that this will add 4.8 billion British pounds each year. That is 0.1% to the UK's GDP. So just see how it will grow cumulatively. And a similar story will be playing out. It will create a lot of jobs. And apart from that, there will be a lot of other issues that will, of course, add to the kind of ties that UK and India already have. These are fields as diverse. As I mentioned, security. We have, of course, been very forthright on terrorism, and the UK might reflect that as well, because the two leaders are also expected to come up with a vision statement 2035. Already we have a vision statement in place for 2030. This will be extended perhaps to 2035. So we'll hear more about that.
All right, Gautam, thank you so much for all that information. We'll keep taking more updates from you throughout the day. And right now, time for a short break. We'll be back in a while.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy, always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and moving on, a team of burn specialists and nurses equipped with necessary medical support from India arrived in Dhaka on Wednesday night to treat the burn victims of the jet crash. The specialized team consists of doctors and nurses from Ram Manohar Lohia Hospital and Safdarjung Hospital in Delhi, which are the two top hospitals in India specializing in burns and plastic surgery. The team will assist in the treatment of victims of Monday's aircraft crash. They will make an assessment of the condition of patients with recommendation for further treatment and specialized care in India as necessary. Indian High Commission in Dhaka said additional medical teams may also follow depending on their preliminary assessment and treatment. Early on July 21st, Prime Minister Narendra Modi expressed condolences at the loss of lives in the tragic air crash in Dhaka and conveyed assurances of support and assistance. And on the fourth day of the month-long monsoon session of Indian Parliament, the Upper House to take the Carriage of Goods by Sea Bill 2025 for consideration and passing. The bill to provide for the responsibilities, liabilities, rights and immunities attached to carriers with respect to the carriage of goods by sea and for matters connected therewith or related thereto, as passed by the Lok Sabha, be taken into consideration. Also, the Coastal Shipping Bill 2025 will be taken up for consideration and passing. The bill to consolidate and amend the law relating to regulation of coastal shipping, promote coasting trade and encourage domestic participation. Well, the lower house of the Parliament to discuss the readjustment or representation of scheduled tribes and assembly constituencies of the State of Goa Bill 2024. The Merchant Shipping Bill 2024 will also be discussed in the House to consolidate and amend the law relating to merchant shipping to ensure compliance with India's obligation. Meanwhile, the centre and the opposition hit out at each other on Wednesday over the issue of special intensive revisional electoral rolls in Bihar. Both the houses were adjourned for the day following sloganeering by the opposition on the matter. This deadlock comes after the first 2 days of the session witnessed a stormy parliament, indicating the opposition's approach. And for more on the Parliament, we have Divya Wandel joining us. Well, Divya, what all business transpired yesterday in both the houses, and what all are we headed for today?
Well, Lipakshi, good morning. You know, the first 3 days has been an absolute washout in the Parliament. And we have seen, this monsoon session of Parliament has been extremely stormy. Why? Because, there has been a continuing deadlock between the opposition and the government, where the opposition is not relenting to the repeated request of the government to let the House function. However, the government says that the primary demands of the opposition parties on discussion, and in fact, a detailed discussion on Operation Sindoor has already been met. 18 hours have been dedicated to the Lok Sabha, while 16 hours have been dedicated to the Rajya Sabha to discuss on Operation Sindoor. But despite this, Lipakshi, the deadlock continues. Yesterday also, the Parliament barely functioned for 15 minutes in total, and it faced repeated adjournments. Even day before yesterday, which is on Tuesday, same scenario, repeated adjournments. The Parliament functioned less than 15 minutes. I was in the lower house yesterday when the speaker was, trying to convince to the opposition parties that get back to your seats, let us do some business, because the first 2 days have been a complete washout. Precious time of the country have been wasted. But despite that, the opposition did not relent. And they continued sloganeering on the well of the House, and our speaker had to adjourn. Same was the case in Rajya Sabha as well. But it will be interesting to see, Lipakshi, whether today also the opposition lets the House function, because it's been 3 precious days of the time of the people of this country that has been wasted because the opposition is not letting the House of Parliament, in fact, both the Houses of Parliament function. Will today be any day different from what we saw in the first 3 days? Is, of course, we'll have to wait till 11 a.m. to see what the strategy of the opposition is on the floor of the House. But the opposition says that they will not relent, they will not go back or change their position. They are going to corner the government on the floor of the House even today.
All right, Divya, thank you so much for all those details. And still to come, indeed, India News Hour. Columbia University reaches $200 million settlement with Trump administration over anti-Semitism allegation. White House denies Trump named in Epstein documents amid mounting pressure for transparency. And U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff heads to Europe for Gaza ceasefire talks, hostage deal to be pushed.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Hello. Johar. It fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout ho gaya.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and moving on. EU leaders arrived in Beijing early on Thursday for the 25th China-European Union Summit, a meeting coinciding with the 50th anniversary of the establishment of China-EU diplomatic ties. President of the European Council, Antonio Costa, and President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, representing the EU, will meet Chinese President Xi Jinping and Premier Li Qiang. Marking the 50th anniversary of the establishment of EU-China bilateral relations, the summit will be an opportunity to engage with China at the highest level and to underline the importance the EU attaches to a fair and balanced relationship with China. The focus of the summit will be the state of bilateral relations and global geopolitical challenges, including Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine. Well, the two leaders will discuss ways of ensuring a more balanced, reciprocal and mutually beneficial trade relationship, as well as areas of shared interest such as climate change, biodiversity and advancing the green transition. The EU will also advocate the need to protect and uphold multilateralism and the rules-based international order. And updates on Russia-Ukraine conflict now. Kyiv on Wednesday proposed direct talks between Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin in August. Russian and Ukrainian negotiators met in Istanbul on Wednesday for their first peace talks in more than 7 weeks, with Moscow under pressure from US President Donald Trump to strike a deal or face tough new sanctions. Turkey, the host country, urged steps towards a lasting ceasefire and peace deal, but Moscow tempered expectations for progress at a new round of discussions. Kyiv had proposed to hold the talks by the end of August, with US President Donald Trump and Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan also participating.
The priority number one is to organize a meeting of the leaders of presidents, where participation of President Trump and Erdogan will be most valuable. A real ceasefire and end to all strikes on civilian infrastructure. This can be a crucial first steps towards lasting peace. We propose to the Russian side to hold such a meeting of leaders until the end of August. By agreeing to this proposal, Russia can clearly demonstrate its constructive approach to everyone around the world, including our partners. Ukraine keeps insisting on a full and unconditional ceasefire as the necessary basis for effective diplomacy.
Meanwhile, Russia received a new group prisoner of war from Ukraine soon after the end of the latest round of peace talks. The Russian Defense Ministry published a video showing men in uniform cheering as the boarded buses at an undisclosed location in Belarus, believed to be close to the Ukrainian border. Over 1,000 Ukrainian prisoners of war also returned home from Russia late on Wednesday. Both countries earlier agreed to exchange 1,200 prisoners of war each, and Moscow offered Kyiv the bodies of 3,000 killed soldiers. Well, the United States has announced the approval of $322 million in arms sale to bolster Ukraine's air defenses and its armored combat vehicles. The potential sales include $170 million for Hawk Phase 3 air defense systems, covering maintenance, trucks, spare parts, repairs and training. Additionally, $150 million is allocated for Bradley infantry fighting vehicles, along with their repair and technical support. The announcement comes after Washington temporarily halted some weapons shipments to Ukraine earlier this month, even as Kyiv faced heavy Russian missile and drone attacks. President Donald Trump then made an abrupt change in posture, pledging publicly earlier this month to continue to send weapons to Ukraine. And US President Donald Trump also touted a recent deal between the US and NATO whereby European allies would purchase weapons and send them to Ukraine as it fights Russia.
We just made a deal with the European Union where they're going to pay the United States of America 100% of the cost of all military equipment. They're going to ship it to the European Union and then they'll distribute it, and much of it will go to Ukraine. It's been a long time since you've heard those words, because we're in for $350 billion, but now we send it to Europe and Europe pays.
And moving on, US envoy Steve Witkoff is traveling to Europe for meetings with key regional leaders aimed at advancing a ceasefire agreement in Gaza and securing the release of hostages held by Hamas. Witkoff is expected to arrive in Rome on Thursday for meetings with Israeli Minister of Strategic Affairs Ron Dermer and a senior Qatari official. If talks progress, he could travel on to Doha late in the week in a push to finalize a deal. Well, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt on Tuesday said that both President Donald Trump and Witkoff are committed to securing a truce and freeing the hostages as soon as possible.
Special Envoy Witkoff is headed to Europe, where he will meet with key leaders from the Middle East to discuss the ongoing ceasefire proposal to end this conflict in Gaza and to release the hostages. These are very sensitive negotiations that are currently taking place. I spoke to Special Envoy Witkoff last night about them. I will let him speak further on the matter, but the President and Special Envoy Witkoff has made the administration's goals clear. We want this ceasefire to happen as soon as possible, and we want these hostages to be released.
Meanwhile, Hamas has confirmed that it has responded to an Israeli proposal for a 60-day ceasefire in Gaza after more than 2 weeks of indirect talks in Qatar have failed to yield a truce. While Israeli President Isaac Herzog visited soldiers in the Gaza Strip on Wednesday, telling them intensive negotiations were underway and that the return of hostages was the most urgent mission. Herzog added that he hoped there would soon be a breakthrough. Of the 251 hostages taken during Hamas's 2023 attack, 49 are still being held in Gaza, including 27 the Israeli military says are dead. Israeli government spokesman David Mencer also accused Hamas of obstructing talks. Meanwhile, Israel's UN ambassador Danny Danon told the Security Council on Wednesday that the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs is no longer neutral and Israel will only grant 1-month visas to its international staff.
We are committed to helping civilians, to protecting innocents, and to ensuring aid reaches those who need it. But we will not work with organizations that have chosen politics over principles. Mr. Fletcher has made it clear that OCHA is no longer a neutral agency. Israel is therefore left with no choice but to act. Today, I announce that Israel will take steps to ensure that what has been happening with OCHA will no longer continue. Hundreds of OCHA employees are undergoing security vetting. Key employees will not have their permits renewed following clear evidence of strong affiliation with Hamas. Some were even involved in the atrocities of October 7.
Well, United States and European officials signaled progress in tariff talks on Wednesday after U.S. President Donald Trump announced a pact with Japan and China, said its vice premier would attend bilateral negotiations next week. Also, in an attempt to slash his country's trade deficits, Trump has vowed to hit dozens of countries with punitive tariff hikes if they do not hammer out a pact with Washington by August 1st. Well, Trump said that the United States was in the process of completing a trade deal with China and would be setting straight tariffs for most of the rest of the world.
We're in the process of completing our deal with China. And as you know, the UK, we made a deal. It was a very good deal for everybody, but mostly we'll be charging straight tariffs to most of the rest of the world because we have over 200 countries, and we're making deals with various Asian countries that need it. And it's actually hard to believe, you don't think of it, but Asia is very close to Alaska, relatively speaking. It's not the closest, but it is pretty much the closest when it comes to oil and gas and energy, and we're making some incredible deals.
Well, Washington has so far unveiled just 5 agreements, including with Japan and the Philippines. The others are with Britain, Vietnam and Indonesia. Negotiations remain ongoing with major U.S. trading partners, China, Canada, Mexico and the European Union. Well, several EU diplomats added that the bloc was examining a U.S. proposal involving a 15% tariff and sectoral carve-outs still to be decided. EU Trade Chief Maros Sefcovic was expected to speak with U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick on Wednesday. Separately, representatives from China and the United States will meet next week in Swedish capital Stockholm to further negotiations before an August 12th deadline agreed in May. And Columbia University has reached a deal with U.S. President Donald Trump's administration over federal funding. In a statement, the university said will pay a $200 million fine over 3 years to settle allegations that it failed to do enough to stop the harassment of Jewish students on campus. The announcement came one day after the university disciplined dozens of students over pro-Palestinian protest on campus. In March, the Trump administration cancelled grants and contracts worth about $400 million for the Ivy League school because of what it described as anti-Semitic harassment on and near the school's New York City campus. Well, the White House has pushed back against reports that President Donald Trump is among hundreds of people whose names appear in Justice Department documents relating to the late pedophile financier Jeffrey Epstein. A White House spokesman said the claims were nothing more than a continuation of the fake news stories concocted by the Democrats and the liberal media. It comes as a U.S. judge denied the Justice Department's bid to unseal material relating to Epstein from court proceedings in Florida. Well, the Trump administration has been under mounting pressure to release more information about the well-connected sex offender. While campaigning last year, Trump had promised to release Epstein files. The Wall Street Journal reported that Trump's name appeared with many others, including other high-profile figures, in files held by the Justice Department. And French President Emmanuel Macron and his wife Brigitte filed a defamation lawsuit on Wednesday against a U.S. podcaster who claimed the spouse of the French president used to be a man. The 218-page complaint against Candace Owens, who has millions of followers on X and YouTube, was filed by the Macrons in Delaware Superior Court and seeks a jury trial and unspecified punitive damages. In a statement released by their lawyer, the Macrons said they filed a lawsuit after Owens repeatedly ignored requests to retract false and defamatory statements made on an 8-page YouTube and podcast series called Becoming Bridget. The suit accuses Owens of using her popular podcast to spread verifiably false and devastating lies about the Macrons, including that Brigitte Macron was born a man, that they are blood relatives, and that Macron was chosen to be France's president as part of a CIA-operated mind control program. Well, a California doctor charged in the 2023 overdose death of Friends star Matthew Perry pleaded guilty on Wednesday to 4 counts of illegal distribution of the prescription anesthetic ketamine. Dr. Salvador Plasencia was one of 5 people charged in the death of Perry at age 54. He faces up to 40 years in prison when sentenced. An autopsy found the actor died from acute effects of ketamine and other factors that caused him to lose consciousness and drown in his hot tub in October 2023. Chavez and 2 other defendants already have pleaded guilty in the case. None has yet been sentenced. A 5th defendant, Jasween Sangha, whom authorities said was a drug dealer known to customers as the ketamine queen, has been charged with supplying the dose that killed Perry. She has pleaded not guilty and is scheduled to go on trial in August. Perry had publicly acknowledged decades of substance abuse, including during the years he starred as Chandler Bing on hit 1990s television sitcom Friends. And now some weather updates from around the globe. Delhi NCR is bracing for intense monsoon showers today, with light to moderate rain expected to continue through the week. The Indian Meteorological Department has sounded a red alert for Telangana, warning of extremely heavy rainfall between July 23rd and 28th. Simultaneously, an orange alert has been issued for Jammu and Kashmir, coastal Maharashtra, Karnataka and Goa. During the next 5 days, there is a high probability of isolated heavy rainfall continuing over Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Odisha, Gangetic West Bengal, Sub-Himalayan West Bengal, Sikkim, Bihar and Jharkhand. In northwest India, there is a high probability of isolated intense rainfall over Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Delhi, Uttarakhand, Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh and East Rajasthan between July 23rd and July 28th. Between July 23rd and 28th, also there's a high probability of isolated intense rainfall over Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, Meghalaya, Nagaland and Tripura. Also, heavy rain from Storm Vipa flooded parts of central Vietnam on Wednesday, especially Neg An province, where people were seen using boats outside their homes. Up to 50 centimeters of rain was expected from Storm Vipa, raising concerns about landslides and waterlogging in cities. The government has deployed 350,000 soldiers to help with rescue and relief efforts. Notably, Vietnam often faces dangerous storms due to its long coastline. Just last year, Typhoon Yagi caused huge damage and took around 300 lives. Officials are keeping a close watch as rain continues and communities struggle with rising water. On the other hand, Europe grapples with an outbreak of extreme heat. The Balkan region is also feeling the effects. Gruza Lake in Serbia has reached its lowest water level in a decade due to the 3rd major heat wave of the summer. With no rainfall and nearby rivers drying up, the lake's decline is becoming increasingly severe. Drone footage captures the lake shrinking rapidly. A local fisherman revealed that the water level drops further each day. Environmental experts have described the situation as alarming. Just last month, Western Europe endured a strong heat wave, sparking wildfires and widespread health warnings. Globally, 2024 was the hottest year on record, with temperatures rising more than 1.5 degrees centigrade above pre-industrial levels. The severe heat continues to make water scarcity and disrupt ecosystems across continents. In Turkey, a wildfire killed at least 10 firefighters and rescuers as they battle to contain the wildfire near Eskişehir in western Turkey. 24 firefighters were trapped in the fire when the wind suddenly changed direction and blew flames towards them. They were immediately taken to a hospital, but 10 of them died, while 14 others were still being treated, the authorities said. Firefighters and rescue teams since Tuesday have been battling to contain a wildfire in Eskişehir's Seyit Gazi district. The United Nations highest court on Wednesday said that countries must address the urgent and existential threat of climate change by cooperating to curb emissions, as it delivered an opinion set to determine future environmental litigation. The International Court of Justice said failure by countries to meet their climate obligations could, in specific cases, lead other states affected by climate change to litigate.
In the current context, because of the seriousness of the threat posed by climate change, the standard of due diligence to be applied in preparing NDCs is stringent. This means that each party has to do its utmost to ensure that the NDCs it puts forward represent its highest possible ambition in order to realize the objectives of the agreement.
Well, the opinion by the ICJ, also known as the World Court, was immediately welcomed by environmental groups. Legal experts said it was a victory for small island and low-lying states that had asked the court to clarify states' responsibilities. Venetio's climate change minister, Ralph Regenvanu, said the opinion marked a milestone for climate action.
So today it's been a landmark milestone for climate action, the discourse on climate change, and it's very important course correction in this critically important time. For the first time in history, the ICJ has spoken directly about the biggest threat facing humanity, which is climate change. And I want to note that the decision was unanimous. Today's ruling, I'm sure, will also inspire new cases where victims around the world in a legal sense realize that they can claim their rights and seek accountability.
Well, environmental activists gathered in northern Brazil on Wednesday to protest Amazon oil exploration and demand greater indigenous representation at next year's COP30 climate summit. The rally comes at a critical time for Brazil's environmental policies. Just 1 week earlier, Congress passed legislation that weakens environmental licensing requirements. It dealt a blow to President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva's efforts to boost the country's green credentials before hosting COP30 in 2025. The bill, backed by Brazil's powerful agribusiness lobby, allows small to medium-scale projects like dams and sanitation infrastructure to proceed without full environmental permits. The legislation has drawn criticism from environmentalists, Lula's own cabinet members and European Union lawmakers. And on to some business news now. The Trump administration released a new artificial intelligence blueprint on Wednesday that aims to loosen environmental rules and vastly expand AI exports to allies. President Trump marked the plan's release with a speech where he laid out the stakes of the technological arms race with China, calling it a fight that will define the 21st century. The plan, which includes some 90 recommendations, calls for the export of U.S. AI software and hardware abroad, as well as a crackdown on state laws deemed too restrictive to let it flourish. An expansion in exports of a full suite of AI products could benefit AI chip juggernauts, Nvidia and AMD, as well as AI model giants Alphabet's Google, Microsoft, OpenAI, and Facebook parent Meta. The plan also calls for fast tracking the construction of data centers by loosening environmental regulations and utilizing federal land to expedite development of the projects, including any power supplies. And U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent told Fox News on Wednesday that President Donald Trump's administration will likely to announce a successor to Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell in December or January. Powell's term is slated to end in May 2026. It's a sharp divergence from just a week ago when reports surfaced that Trump was ready to fire Powell. The Wall Street Journal reported that Bessent ultimately talked him out of it, though Bessent was denied this in the case. Firing the Fed chair would be illegal based on a Supreme Court ruling this year regarding the president's power to fire independent agency heads. And Google parent Alphabet reported quarterly profits that topped expectations, saying artificial intelligence has boosted every part of its business. Alphabet's second quarter profit of $28.2 billion on $96.4 billion in revenue came with word that the tech giant will spend $10 billion more than it previously planned this year on capital expenditures as it invests to meet growing demand for cloud services. While Alphabet's cloud computing business is on pace to bring in $50 billion over the course of the year, according to the company. Meanwhile, the online ad business that generates the cash Google invests in its future could be neutered due to the defeat in a U.S. antitrust case. And Elon Musk's automobile company, Tesla, is entering a new chapter, one that appears both viable and economical. According to the electric vehicle maker, it has begun producing the first builds of its affordable model, which is set to enter full production in the second half of the year. While with the rise of the affordable EV market, Tesla aims to tap into this segment to revive slowing sales from its aging lineup, currently facing stiff competition from cheaper electric vehicles, particularly in China. However, Tesla is yet to provide an update on its full-year delivery forecast after withdrawing its guidance in April, citing broader economic concerns and tariffs on auto and auto part imports announced by President Donald Trump. According to data from LSEG, Tesla has reported a 12% decline in quarterly revenue, its steepest drop in over a decade. Well, you're watching DD India News. Our time now for some sports news. India's rising chess star Divya Desmukh scripted history on Wednesday by becoming the first Indian to reach the finals of the prestigious FIDE Women's World Cup, currently underway in Georgia. The 19-year-old stunned the chess world by defeating former world champion and current world number 4 Tan Zhongyi of China in the semi-finals. With this victory, the 19-year-old not only secures a spot in the final of the prestigious event, but also earns a coveted Grandmaster norm and qualifies for the next Women Candidates Tournament, a major step forward in her career. The second finalist will be decided on Thursday in a high-stakes playoff between India's Konaru Humpy and China's Lei Tengjie, setting up the possibility of an all-India final. Earlier, Humpy created history by becoming the first ever Indian woman to reach the semi-finals of the tournament. And in cricket, half-centuries from left-hander batters Sai Sudarshan and Yashasvi Jaiswal took India to a total of 264 for 4 at the end of the first day of the fourth test against England on Wednesday at Old Trafford in Manchester. Earlier in the day, England won the toss and opted to field first. Jaiswal completed 1,000 runs against England alone with his 12th 50. KL also became the fifth batter to complete 1,000 runs in England from India, joining the elite company of Sunil Gavaskar, Rahul Dravid, Sachin Tendulkar and Virat Kohli. All right, that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.
Embark on a timeless journey. Unravel the mysteries of a grandiose era. A treasure trove of royal and sacred complexes, temples, shrines, pillared halls, mandapas, rock-cut memorials and more. A spectacular setting of rugged landscape and exemplary workmanship, representing the best of Dravidian architecture. Every structure